But
Okay.
So,
So, firstly, thanks for being willing to be part of this.
it's okay.
And as I mentioned, this is part of the teaching program. So you've signed the form, but just for the record here, is it okay if we make a video
It's
of
fine.
this?
It's fine.
Teaching
Yes.
purposes?
Yes.
And I'll do my very best to make it useful, of course. But I'm not promising that I will be able to do anything. I think I can promise it won't be worse. I think that's something I can.
That'd be good anyway.
But you know, all we can do is do what we can, and I'm already expecting that there'll be at least something useful for you, and we can't be sure yet just how useful that will be. And it's apparent to me already how potentially useful this is going to be, because you've got a way of really paying attention, really focusing. You know how to focus and get absorbed in things. It's very apparent already to me. So, can you tell us a little, I haven't met you before, tell us a little bit about yourself, what sorts of things you like to do, what sorts of things are pleasing to you, that are fun for you,
I love gardening.
Gardening, okay.
I love drawing.
Drawing,
I love bright colours.
okay. And what sort of garden? What do you...
All sorts, but mainly vegetables and flowers. I love roses, bright flowers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any particular roses that you...
Ones that smell nice.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably pale pink or deep red. Or most.
Came across a marvellous rose last year in Tasmania called Abraham Derby.
Yeah, it's a yellow one.
You know?
Yes, David Austin rose.
Yeah. And I took a photo of it and went hunting, and I just planted two of them early this year. One of them's got leaves on it and it looks pretty good. The other one's just sitting there. I don't know how long should I wait for it to just sit there before it starts to do something? Would you think? Do you think we don't know?
Has it got any signs of growth on it? Or
No,
is
it's just got a couple of sticks and they're kind of green. And there are things that look a little bit like buds, but they're just not doing anything.
But what's the other one doing?
Got leaves.
Okay. No sign of growth? No.
Yeah.
I'd leave it for a little while.
Yeah. That's the advice I've been given. I'm impatient. I'm inclined to want to dig it up and see whether it's growing.
No, I just leave it. See what happens. Just might be a bit slower than the other one.
Yeah, another month, is it?
I'd wait until the other one's probably fully in flower. Maybe until next season.
Oh, really?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
It's not hurting anyone just sitting there.
Okay, that's true. All right. And you said you like drawing?
Yes.
What do you draw?
Would it surprise you if I said flowers?
Okay. And do you draw them, pencil and then colour them in?
I use coloured pencil.
Oh, I see.
Quite detailed. I've done a course in botanical art.
Oh, okay.
But I like acrylics too.
Oh.
And
acrylic what?
Acrylic paint, yeah.
Okay.
So that's not so detailed.
Oh, yeah. And when you're doing that, do you do an outline and fill it in, or do you just...
I usually take photos and work from photos.
Oh, okay.
And just enlarge it to the situation.
Yeah. And you just put the acrylic straight on, you don't sort of draw and fill in, or do you...
I do a rough...
ignorant about
Yeah,
this,
that's all right. I do a rough outline. I know what I'm going to do. Yeah.
In pencil, or what do you outline?
Maybe pastel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's kind of the colour that's going to be, or...?
No, just a light colour so it doesn't show through when I put the paint on.
Oh, okay. And roses mostly, or...?
No, I have done a few. I've done a few landscapes and a few portraits as well.
Okay.
But the portraits have been in pencil, so they're quite detailed.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Yeah, my wife does some sketching. She's very good at mostly pencil. She sort of sits there and...
So from life. Yeah.
Just a black pencil.
That's good.
She says she's no good, but she's done some brilliant things. Fascinating to watch. And she, like you, she is very has an ability to really get into the process, into the experience of drawing. When she's doing that, I think the house could fall around. She gets so absorbed in it. I think you know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said, Neil said that you had some problem with your wrists and discomfort or something. What's happening?
My fingers are just tingly, like all the time, non-stop since from about January.
Oh, just this year?
Just this year, but I think I have noticed the pain before when I've done a lot of heavy gardening.
Ah, yes. And pain, you said? Where did you get that?
Well, I used to get the pain quite bad in my arms if I lay on my side in bed,
Oh,
so I could only lie on my back.
Yes.
But that seems to have gone a bit. It's just I notice it more when I get really tense in my shoulders.
Oh, yes.
And it goes down my arms.
Ah, yes.
But my fingers are always tingly and sort of a bit numb on the ends, so I can't feel
So
detail
the pain
properly.
was there. That's not there, or not troubling you, or not sure.
Yeah, I know there's constant ache on my shoulders.
Aye.
And down there.
Ah, okay.
And my fingers are.
And this is worse when you get tense, and better when what? When you.
If I'm relaxed.
Relaxed.
But I don't think I'm not relaxed very often.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that might be something that could have at least some influence. Not necessarily cure, but maybe. But might be useful if you were to be able to be more relaxed, so that there would be less tension in your shoulders. That might be something that would be useful. But there's something happening in your fingers. This is just since January. There's some numbness.
I think I've had a little bit before. It's just tingly. Sort of that tingly numbness, sort of when you get pins and needles in your fingers.
Yes. Mm.
And I can't, if I want to pick up a piece of paper to turn pages in a book, I found it very difficult to separate the pages.
Yeah.
I can't find the detail,
I see.
The fine sense of touch.
I understand.
Or feel bumps on
Yes.
surface.
Yeah, so some of those fine distinctions
That's
sort of not...
and that's just non-stop,
Right.
constant.
Okay, and does that vary? Is that worse sometimes, not so bad other times?
It's the same all the time.
Same all the time. It doesn't change with you if you do a lot of hard work or gardening, or it's not better when the warm weather's warm?
No, that's there all the time.
They're all the time. That's
not being able
constant.
to feel the detail.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what would your hopes be for if we could do something here?
I'd like to get that tingling to go away. Yeah.
And what would you like to be there instead of the tingling?
Just how it used to be years ago. Yeah.
Okay. That's what you'd like.
Yeah, just to have that feeling go away.
Yeah. And have them be how they used to be.
Yeah, probably years and years ago. It's probably just been creeping up on me, I think.
Okay, well, problems can creep up on you, and solutions can creep up on you. Things can happen quickly or slowly. And also something can creep up on you and arrive very slowly, but it can leave very quickly. My rose might take a year to flower, but once it flowers, it can lose all its leaves in winter pretty quickly. So no matter how long it takes in coming, it can go quickly or slowly. There's no connection there between how quickly something comes, how slowly it comes, and how quickly it can go. Turns out there's no relationship between those two. All right. And if you couldn't get the normal sensations back by the time you leave here today, which I'm not saying that's not possible, by the way. I actually don't know. I'm not very good at foretelling the future. But if you had something less than immediate return of normal sensations that you used to have years ago, what would you settle for? What would be acceptable?
What, in my fingers? Just sure. So that's less. I could.
Okay.
So I could feel things better. Just so the tingling would go away, even if it's every now and again, just so I could feel things properly.
Very good. Okay. Now, Neil mentioned, or maybe you'd said to him about carpal tunnel. Is that something that you've had some advice about, or is that something that you think it might be?
Well, I think Neil's mentioned it could be that because he's in the soil.
Okay.
And my sister has had it, and she's had operations on both hands, and she's told me her symptoms.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah, so are you wondering about the possibility of surgery?
Yeah, but I don't want to have surgery. No, I'm more... I like the body to heal itself without...
Yeah. Does your sister help with the surgery? Does it make any difference?
It did for a bit, but she's a dentist, so she needs to do that fine movement. So she needed to have her hand operated to be better.
Yeah.
She said one hand's worse than the thumb here, the bones rubbing on the bones.
Okay.
So she might have to have another operation for that.
Yeah. Okay. And that does the tingling, the loss of sensations and the numbness, does that interfere with your drawing?
No.
It doesn't sound like it. No. It doesn't interfere with your gardening.
I can't do as much as I want to. No.
Well, welcome to the club, you know.
I know.
You know, Ashley Breen said, all I ever want from life is a bit more than I'll ever get. You know,
I want more time.
Yeah, they've stopped making that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But and I'm curious too that although when you get tense, this is worse, and you're relaxed, that's not so bad. But the tension doesn't do anything to the tingling. That's.
I think in my arms, pain. If I lie on my side like in bed, it'll go all numb.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to influence.
And then my fingers will go numb as well. My hands will go numb. But that hasn't happened as much lately, since Neil did a lot of massage on my. And I've read a book about carpal tunnel and all the exercises, so I've been doing some stretching exercises.
Oh, I'm glad you're seeing me today, because it looks like
I want to get better.
You're all already on the way, and if we do something today or nothing, it might seem like your cure has got something to do with me. It might be good for my reputation. I would like to work with people who are already on the mend, and it sort of looks like I'm doing something. But I think you know very well that whatever anyone does, the healing will happen with you, not with. So all we can do here, and all that's necessary here, is to somehow facilitate or amplify or somehow encourage a process that sounds like it's already happening. And if we can have that happen a little more rapidly or a little bit more easily or a little bit more something, then that might be a useful process. That's it. Okay. So, have you had anything to do with hypnosis before? Have you done any meditation? Or?
I've done yoga for a lot of years, and we just did the relaxation at the end, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, so. And you're good at it. I don't know whether you noticed that even as you said, you did the relaxation, there was a kind of a... Yeah, even saying
that's my favourite part,
Yeah, but it was just saying that somehow you that started, and there's a smile, so you're kind of recognising that feeling. Are you still doing that yoga?
No, my teacher retired, and so I stopped going, and she was very good. And
so you're not going to the classes, but you learnt the feeling, and if you can understand what I mean, your body, your shoulders have learnt that. And if you were to just allow your shoulders to remember that's it, that feeling, it's actually very easy for you. And I don't know when you're doing this. When you're doing the class where you used to close your eyes.
Yes.
So if that would help you, please feel free to just let your eyes do what they need to do. If they want to close, that's good. They don't have to, of course, it really doesn't matter. But if you can just allow the memory of the relaxation from those classes, the memory that we could say the memory is in your shoulders, just as a way of speaking. So you don't need to actively try to remember anything, but simply allow your shoulders, your neck, your arms to have an opportunity to show you that that memory is there. That's good. And then just letting that somehow continue. And if there's some way that you can focus on that absorption, that relaxation, in a rather natural, effortless way, and that relaxation can just increase of its own natural accord. That's good. And then as you allow that to continue, you can notice that I'm talking, but actually what I'm saying is very unimportant. Just like a yoga teacher had some ideas and helped you to learn, but it was what you learnt that was important. So you don't need to listen to me or my words. You can know that I'm talking and just allow my voice to be in the background. And already I can see some indication that you are letting yourself become more absorbed. In the subtle changes, your breathing, just that little bit slower, deeper. Muscles of your face are smoothing out. That's it. And apart from that hand, with a lot of immobility in your body. And I don't know when you'll be ready to let your eyes close all the way down. But you might find that that relaxation, that's it. I don't know whether it'll start in your shoulders and spread down your arms, or whether you might notice something happening in your feet as well. And whether it'll be relaxation or a feeling of increasing comfort or a sense of well-being or a feeling of letting go of something, a kind of healing, just letting the body, that's it. And as you're allowing this experience to continue, I can't emphasize enough that there is really nothing you need to do. There is no effort required. Take all the time you need. Just allowing. That's so nice. And that feeling of relaxation can start somewhere, anywhere, and it can spread, take its own time, find its own way. And I don't know in your yoga class whether you used to let the relaxation start from the tips of your toes and spread upwards, on the top of your head and spread downwards. Or a feeling that could start right in the solar plexus and radiate outwards. But in whatever way that can happen, you can. Just let that feeling, that experience of relaxation spread. as you allow yourself to become more absorbed in remembering that feeling and re-experiencing it. That's right. And you can let your eyes close and feel the relief when you let them close and rest them for a time. Let that feeling of relaxation spread to your eyelids. And just as you can take your time with that and getting the feeling of that, there can be something happening in your hands, something happening in your emotions, something happening in your shoulders. And you don't need to speak about anything you don't want to speak about. But while that's happening, and can you really feel that tension? And as you're feeling that, and when you do that, and you release that, what happens then? What happens to your shoulders? Is it all right to have this feeling?
I just want to get it out.
You do?
I'm sick of holding it in.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know if this is the place for you to let it out. I don't know. You're very welcome to, as far as I'm concerned. But you're in a strange situation. I don't know if that's all right for you. But I can know from my experience that when you have, a person has been holding something in forever, there are different ways of letting it out. And you don't have to let all of it out all at once. You can let it out little by little. You can let it out in ways that you're aware of. And you can let it out in ways that you don't even know that you are. A person can have a dream in which they, as they're sleeping, they're still, they're silent, they're comfortable, they're warm, and they can have a dream that they're walking in the snow and they're freezing, and yet they're warm. They can have a dream that they're screaming and yelling and smashing, but they're silent and still. And the beautiful thing about dreaming like that is that you don't even need to remember what it was that you dreamt about. And in the experience that you're having now, I don't know whether you know that as you're experiencing this, you are already starting to let go of something. Do you have an awareness of that? That just somehow saying that, somehow when you smashed your hands together, you were starting to express that. Now I don't know, as you're doing that, whether there's some change that you can notice in your shoulders yet. Whether letting go of that, starting, not necessarily all at once, means that you don't need to hold that in your shoulders and your arms. Just as you don't need to let it all go all at once. You don't need to hang on to it either. Because you can hang on to some things and let go of others. You can hang on to something and let it go. You can express it and not have to express it. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying? Now, while you're doing everything right now, Karen, that you need to do to allow that letting go, which has already begun, as you can just allow that to continue in its own way. And just as you could, remember that relaxation from the yoga and allow yourself to feel the way that by relaxing that degree that allowed you to start to let go of that strong emotion by remembering the relaxation. You know what I mean? So in the same way that you are able to remember that relaxation, at the same time and in the same way, without really needing to do anything, just as your shoulders could begin to remember the relaxation and let you express that feeling, the tips of your fingers can begin to remember the feeling of the sensations that they used to have. And it may be that in some way, like in your mind's eye, you could begin to have an image of your hands, just as you might draw a flower. You could perhaps begin in some way to have an image of your fingers that you could draw an outline with a pale crayon, pale pastel, and maybe see a very pale outline. And perhaps imagine that as you draw that pale outline, that your fingers, that your hands could be rather numb and just an outline. And then somehow, and I don't know how you can translate this into your experience, you could begin to fill in the outline. Fill it in, coloured pencil, or with acrylic. And just somehow imagine that as you fill the outlines in, and after a while you perhaps don't notice the outline because it was pale pastel, but as you fill that in with acrylic, some of those sensations begin to have colour. Instead of being empty shapes, start to have colour and texture, different shades, different, I don't know what I'm talking about, but just as you can paint, say, a rose, and you use the colours in such a way that it looks like a rose, not just like an outline. You could paint your fingers so that they could, as you do that, begin to remember the texture as you see them, how they feel. And as I'm talking about painting, like painting a rose or painting your fingers, what images do you have in your mind, Karen? What are you seeing at the moment?
Nothing really.
No. So I can say words, and they come from me. And I've got no way of knowing how you can make your sense of that, if it makes any sense at all. But what's happening for you at the moment? How are you feeling right now?
A bit more relaxed.
A bit more relaxed, yes. And I wonder if, as you allow that process, whatever that is, however that's happened, that's allowed you to be a bit more relaxed, to just continue. And little by little, perhaps in tiny, tiny amounts with each breath. Letting go of something. Because each time you breathe out, there is a letting go. Breathing in takes effort. You have to lift your chest, you lift your shoulders. There's effort involved in breathing in, but breathing out is a letting go. It's effortless. And even some subtle relief. And release. And breathing out is something that you can do anytime, day or night. Whether you're awake, whether you're asleep, whether you're aware of breathing out, or whether you're unaware of breathing out. And it's not at all important to know just what it is exactly that you're letting go of. The composition of the air, how much oxygen, how much nitrogen, how much carbon dioxide in the air that you breathe out is totally unimportant. But you can have the experience, the relief. You can have the benefit. You can have the healing. Of letting that breath. Just letting it go. And are you aware yet that you are just a little more relaxed than you were when you were a little more relaxed before?
A little bit.
A little bit. You don't have to relax everything all at once. But can you notice that you can have that relief of knowing that you can be a little more relaxed? That's it. And if you can be a little more relaxed, then you can be even a little more relaxed. And with each breath, you can let go of such a tiny, tiny amount. Just like watching a rose grow, or any of the vegetables grow. You can't see them growing as you watch them. But if you look the next day, the next week, the next month, then you see that growing, those changing, that process has been there. And you only notice that it has been there afterwards. And so my invitation for you is to simply allow the experience that had begun before you came here today. The experience that somehow you were able to facilitate quite intensely. Letting go of something that you've been hanging on to seemingly forever. and just letting that process, letting it go. And that can, in a way that I don't think will surprise you, add to your comfort around and relaxation around your shoulders and upper arms. And I can talk about drawing your fingers, but they are words that come from me. You've got your ways of healing that you have experienced many, many times, more than you can say. And you don't need to speak about it or even understand it to know that it can happen and has happened, and look forward to its continuing. In my opinion, your hands, your fingers have got way better outcome of getting their normal sensations back. Way better likelihood than my rose that's just sitting there. And yet, I think it might. I think it's possible. But it is my opinion. It's only my opinion. But I'm allowed to have my opinion. And I have a medical background that has some relevance to my opinion. That your hands can find their own way of healing. And that those sensations can, normal sensations, can creep up on you. And they may creep up on you so slowly that sometimes you think that nothing is happening, but it is. And so, I'm wondering, would it be agreeable to you if you were to really look out for the first signs of increasing sensitivities in your fingers? Would you be willing to look out for that?
Yes.
And to know that even when you notice those sensations for the first time, they will have been increasing for some time before you notice them. Just like a rose, when the bud bursts, it has been growing in that bud before you see the bursting. Do you know what I mean? So I think it might be very nice if you were to be in some way as attentive as you can to the very first hint. And it might surprise you. It might be in your little finger of your right hand, or your thumb of your left hand. Or it might be some interesting sensation in the palm of one of your hands, or some subtle alteration in the way that the tingling is there, that it's a little different, that it feels warmer or cooler or some way different.
Feels warmer.
Feels warmer already.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
On the tops of my hands.
On the tops of
even
your
though they feel cold, they feel warmer.
Even though they feel cold,
Skin feels
but
cold,
they feel warmer. Yeah.
There's this warm sensation.
Yeah, where did that come from?
I don't know.
No. And in a way, you don't care where it came from. But it's beautiful to know that that has come. And if you can, notice the warm sensation without trying to explain it or understand it or any of that. To just appreciate it and wonder what will happen next.
It's going to get better.
It'll get better. And will it, when will you start to notice it on the pads, the tips of your fingers?
Very soon.
Okay. So,
Before I walk out the door.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, you're
No
not.
one's going to be walking on water here, you know. We're not.
I'm only joking.
Yeah. So I think it's important that although you're naturally impatient to have things, no, it's just natural. Like I'm impatient for that rose to grow, but I think if I were to dig it up to see whether it's,
I'd get another rose.
well, I've got another one. We've got two.
Okay.
I think I should get a third one.
No, just pull the other one out.
Oh,
Put it
God.
somewhere else.
Oh dear. All right. Well, I'm not going to take that
Not
advice
really.
just yet.
No.
I'm thinking about it. But
No, I'd leave it. I'd leave it there.
Yeah, my impatience, it wants it to happen. But I'm going to be patient and just see what happens.
I'm a very patient person.
You are?
Yep, very.
Maybe to a fault. Maybe you've been too patient with yourself. But there's something about that patience. It's good to be patient about some things, but to be too patient, that may be something else to let go of. But not too quickly, because everyone will get scared. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so just let that happen, and let whatever's there, let it out, only at a rate that you think that the rest of the universe can cope with. We don't want you spontaneously combusting or going on some kind of rampage, you know.
No, it's not that.
Good. But it's just lovely to see that you are now ready to let something go that you've been hanging on to for at least long enough. You've started to let that go. How are your shoulders feeling?
Yeah, a bit more relaxed.
A bit more relaxed. Mm. And it wouldn't be a problem if they were to be even a bit more relaxed than that. But there's something that started there. And I think it would be so lovely if you could allow that process to be an organic process that just spread in the way that plants grow, rather than some kind of mechanical thing that had to be kind of fixed. Do you know what I mean? There's something nice about letting something grow, something emerge in a natural way rather than a forced way. Now, what do you notice, Karen, is different for you now than when you came into this room? You already said your shoulders are a little bit more relaxed. There's that warmth. I'm wondering what's different for you.
Not shaking inside as much.
Okay.
Constantly like this inside.
Okay, so you've let some of that?
Up until a few minutes ago.
How did you let that?
Just happened.
Just happened. And that's what happens with healing, isn't it? There was an English surgeon, Sir William Osler, 200 years ago, said, "I suture the wound, God heals them." He was speaking metaphorically, like as a doctor. He couldn't cure anything. He can do something, but the person heals. And I can say something, or you can wish something, but your body is going to heal in its own way, in its own time. And there's a certain kind of relief in that, once you see that. You don't need to push the river, as the Buddhists say. Just let it flow. Now, there's a lot more that we could talk about, a lot more that we could explore. I'm wondering how you're doing with this. Is there something else that might be helpful for me to say or for you to do? Is this a place we might leave it today? Is there more? I really don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't know.
You don't know? If you were to just somehow ask your body whether that's enough or whether it wants more, or what that might be, what would your body say? What would your shoulders say? What would your hands say? If you were to listen to them.
Just a tiny bit more.
Okay.
I've got a headache across here now, but I think that's just
Okay.
releasing or something.
Okay, there's something there that
Just
is
across
releasing.
here, I've just got a headache.
Yeah. Is that part of the releasing, or is that a sign that you're about to release something? What's that? When you listen?
Just
Yeah?
tension there. Just
Okay.
I'm still holding on, and
Well,
my
that's
body's
good.
let go, but my head's still fighting it.
There are some things you have to hang on to, you know.
Yeah.
You're in company here, you know. There's some bodily functions that are best hung on to, you know. But if you were to just notice that forehead and not try and relax it, don't hang on to it. Just notice your forehead. Don't push it away. Don't get rid of it. Just notice it. Yeah. And just sit with it. Just let it be there for the moment. And as you're breathing, I wonder how you'll notice what will be the first indication to you that your forehead is beginning to let go. Will it start from the edges, the middle, top, bottom? Where will it start? And what's happening to it? There's a slight smile there. What's that? What's happening?
Still there.
Yeah, and how come you're smiling?
Because I'm listening to your words.
Listen to my words. Yeah, and
It's just, yeah.
and what's happening in the back of your head?
It's just tension all around. It's the back of my head and across here.
Okay.
I just need to stretch it.
Okay. So now you're stretching it?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that something that you did in that yoga?
No.
No?
I
Something
suppose
that
we
you
did. We did a lot of stretching here.
Oh, okay. Mm. That's it. And now?
Yeah, my forehead's better. Just the back of my head now.
Your
Here, the
forehead's
base of my skull.
It's moving around, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice to know that you don't have to be stuck with something.
Yeah.
And if you can move it from your forehead to the back of your head, I wonder whether you can move it out of the back of your head and into the chair. That's a silly thing to say, but the chair won't mind. But if you just notice the back of your head and see if there's some stretching that would be useful there. Some movement. And you'll know after you've made the movement that you need that'll be helpful. You don't know beforehand. So you find out what might be helpful and then, oh, that worked, or that didn't, or this, well, or that. Always find out afterwards. And now?
It's a bit better.
A bit better?
It'll gradually go.
It'll gradually go, yes.
Mm.
And there's something about it gradually going that can be comforting. I was working with a woman years ago who was overweight, and she said, I wish I could just go to sleep tonight and wake up in the morning with all that weight gone. And I said to her, I think that'd be terrifying. Because if you woke up tomorrow and all the weight's gone, what might you wake up the next morning with? Oh gosh, it might all come back again. So by letting something go gradually, there's more security about that, more solidness about that. There's some learning about that. And just letting that. Just letting it go in whatever way. And I don't need to know, that you don't need to know. It might seem to have something to do with stretching, but there may be something else as well. Just an experience of letting go in some way. Yeah. And just sitting with that and letting the back of your head to let go of what it needs to let go. And letting that happen in its own time. not as I think it should, or not as you wished it should, or you hoped. Letting it take its own time, finding its own way. And you are patient, so you can allow that. And I can't know how you're feeling, but you look very peaceful at the moment, Karen. Almost as if you have let go of something. And as I look at your face, I'm struck with the way that somehow your face looks younger, fresher in some way, as if you have let go of some pressure or some worry. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I see. There's more colour in your face. Looks like the tightness in your forehead's gone. And the muscles of your face are in a more natural configuration. I don't know how you feel. What's happening for you at the moment?
Yeah, I feel a lot more relaxed.
Yeah. And could you put another word to that?
Calm.
Calm. Yeah. And my word is peaceful. Does that have any connection with you? That's only my word. Look like there's less conflict there.
Yeah, a lot less.
A lot less.
Mm.
You're allowed to have a little bit. If you're
Yeah,
a human being.
I can still feel a bit. But
Well, you're a human being.
I know.
Don't have to be totally translucent and float off.
Yeah.
We're human. And as long as we're human, we're going to have things. That's part of the deal. What's happening in the back of your head now?
It's all gone. There's just a tiny bit here.
Okay.
But that's all better.
That's all better?
Yep.
And your shoulders?
Yeah,
They look looser.
They are.
Yeah. And you look like your kind of body is looser.
Mm.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. And with that looseness, I take that as an indication that you've somehow let go of some tension.
I think so.
So with that looseness, there can be more natural, easy kind of movement. A more natural flow of whatever healing is. And just as those feelings and those sensations of discomfort can spread from your forehead to the back of your head, and just as those experiences of calmness can spread from your shoulders, all through your body, some of them can trickle down to the tips of your fingers, not only the backs of your hand, but the very tips of your fingers. And that can take its time. And would it be okay for you to just let it take its time?
Yeah, it's fine.
And can you enjoy looking forward to that?
Yes.
Yeah. Without too much impatience?
Yeah.
Good.
I usually forget about them anyway.
Okay.
I'm doing things.
Yeah. But it might be nice to not only forget about them as you're doing things, but just from time to time, just get a little glimpse of, oh, what was that sensation? What's that? Just a little glimpse. Don't make too big a deal of it. Okay. And take that breath. Nice one. It's nice to remember those good feelings, isn't it? Your shoulders have been very patient with you, waiting for an opportunity to remind you. That learning is there, it's a part of you. Everything you learnt in yoga is still part of you. don't know as a child if you learned to ride a bicycle.
Yeah, when I was older, yeah.
And do you ride a bicycle now?
No.
No. But if you were to get on a bicycle, you might be a bit wobbly, but it wouldn't take long to think, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Once you've learned it, you've got that learning. It's permanent. So, how would it be if you were to just take your own time to let everything that's happened for you somehow really settle in your experience? And I hope that you will totally ignore anything that I've said that was unhelpful or irrelevant, because I can't know how best to speak with you, how best to be with you. But I can know that you know what is useful, that you can encourage, that you can allow, and what is unimportant that you can just let go of, just let it drift on past. So when you have the experience, the sense that you've got what you wanted from this experience, not necessarily as much as you hoped, or maybe more, who knows, but without being logical about this, without being sensible about this, without being proper about this, if you could just allow yourself to sense when this experience is sufficient for you, and without any tension, without any worry, without any effort, you can just let your eyes open. And notice how you feel.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'm more relaxed.
Well, that's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for trusting me with something, how can I say, that's, I would say, so important and so intense for you. I'm a stranger to you.
Mm.
And for you to trust me and us with that is a gift. So it's very generous of you.
Thank
I
you.
think that you've got a very good chance of getting some good sensations there. That's my professional opinion.
Thank
Now,
you.
I'm not foretelling the future because I can't, but I'm
Yeah.
allowed to have my opinion. So how would it be if we left it at that?
Yeah, that's fine. I feel good at leaving it at that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good.
good. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
No, it's a pleasure. And thank you for your trusting. Not only in me and us, but actually in yourself, which is the important thing. I think you know that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, what are you up to now? Are you...
Just the
You've got some-
library and the shop.